So Max sent me this article. It's from NFL.com, and it comes from Eric Edholm. We like Eric Edholm. Great guy, great guest. Comes on the program a lot. These are the top 10 most complete teams for the 2025 season, the most well-rounded squads. So he's ranking the rosters. He only does 10. Philadelphia is number one. Duh. They literally won a Super Bowl without blitzing. When was the last time? I mean, we were screaming at the end of the season telling Joe Witt Jr. to blitz more because they couldn't get pressure with just 4. They won a Super Bowl by getting pressure with just 4. Washington is not there yet. Even if you think they've closed the gap, they have not closed the gap to that point. Suggesting so would be drinking the Kool-Aid. So Philadelphia is number 1 on this list. Baltimore is number 2 on this list. I think there's a gap there. The Ravens don't have good wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins is ancient at this point. Maybe he has a little bit of gas left in the tank, but who is Lamar going to throw to? Mark Andrews is old. Mark Andrews might come in with a little bit of the yips for how last season ended too, because I mean, that ball was in his hands, and all of a sudden it wasn't in his hands anymore. So they got the Baltimore Ravens at number 3, or at number 2. Detroit at number 3. I would put Detroit over Baltimore. It feels like they're leading because Lamar Jackson is the quarterback of Detroit. I wish the quarterback rankings were a little bit more consistent with this in terms of how much value you're putting in quarterbacks. You'll explain what I mean coming up here as we get down this list. Kansas City at 4. They still don't have wide receivers, but fine. Buffalo at 5. They still don't have wide receivers, but fine. None of the good AFC teams have wide receivers except for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's actually astonishing. Travis Kelce's old. At some point, he needs to retire and just be the trophy husband to Taylor Swift. She got billions of dollars, my man. Like, just enjoy the fruits of her hard work. They got Buffalo at number 5. Their leading receiver, their number 1 wide receiver entering the 2025 season is Keon Coleman. And then it's a who's who. And not a who's who in a good way. It's like a literally, who is that? Who is who? Who is wide receiver 2? Who is wide receiver 3? Here's where I mentioned about the quarterback, why I have a very big issue with this list. At number 6 is the Minnesota Vikings. Huh? The Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy, who has played 0 real NFL games. They are 6 on this list. Defensively, great. Offensively, around J.J. McCarthy, T.J. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones, good weapons, really good weapons for one J.J. McCarthy. They added Jonathan Allen on defense. That defense last year was really, really good. They added Jonathan Allen. But that quarterback question is a really big question because however you feel about Sam Darnold, I don't love him. Generally speaking, Kevin likes him. I'm not going to say love. We've gotten into arguments about that, but Kevin likes him. I don't love Sam Darnold. I have no idea what J.J. McCarthy is. I have no idea. Nobody knows what he is. The guy literally hasn't played. I think there's going to be some sort of rude awakening from a lot of people in the media when they realize what C.J. Stroud did 2 years ago and what Jaden Daniels did last year. Those are not normal things. I know there's a lot of guys that are coming out of college who have played a lot of college football, but you don't just step into the NFL and be amazing. What happened with Stroud and Daniels was very much a once and a twice in a lifetime. It's a once in a lifetime thing that just happened to happen in consecutive years. Then I think you'll see a multi-year drought with top quarterbacks that get drafted, not exactly stepping into success immediately, which is totally normal, by the way. It shouldn't be that you want your guy like a J.J. McCarthy where you're looking at anything less than 11 or 12 wins of failure for him in year number 1. Regardless, they have the Vikings at number 6. They got Tampa Bay at number 7. Everybody loves Tampa Bay. They drafted 1 receiver in the first round, and it feels like everyone and their mother is all aboard the Tampa Bay Bucks hype train. They lose Liam Cohen, who is a great offensive mind with Baker Mayfield, yet still everyone's like, nope, all the way with Tampa Bay. All the way with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, they are on the come up. They play in a terrible division. They're going to win a lot of games. They are on the come up. They got Green Bay at number 8. They added a wide receiver in Matthew Golden in the draft. Defensively, I still think there's some questions there. They put San Francisco at number 9. Brock Purdy got paid. They lose Deebo Samuel, but they think Ricky Pearsall is going to be really good. Add a couple guys on defense, specifically in the draft. Mikael Williams, I thought, was a great pick for San Francisco. So they got San Francisco at number 9. And then at number 10, they have the Denver Broncos. You will notice I just listed 10 teams none of which are the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, according to this article, and this is not the only one, I have another one, but according to this article, the Commanders are not a top 10 roster in the NFL. Unfortunately, there is not an explanation as to why they do not have a top 10 roster. I would say it's because of the defensive front. I think the defensive secondary is going to be fine. Somehow yesterday it got construed that I hate Marshawn Lattimore. I don't. My suggestion yesterday was if you are going to acquire Jalen Ramsey, you might as well ditch the aging corner. If Lattimore is fully healthy, Lattimore can be a good player in this league. Full stop there. Do not hate Marshawn Lattimore. I just don't need Marshawn Lattimore and Jalen Ramsey to then stifle the growth of Mikey Sanderstill and Trey Amos, operating under the assumption that Mikey Sanderstill and Trey Amos are going to be around this organization and the backbone of the defensive backfield in a perfect world 40 years to come. I just don't want to stifle their growth by having two old dudes back there. I want one old dude. I don't need two old dudes back there. I don't hate Marshawn Lattimore. I think the defensive backfield is fine for Washington. I think the linebacker group is fine for Washington. I think the front four is not fine. That must be the reason why they are not on the top 10 list here, because I could do the same song and dance with the offense. Offensive line is fine. I'm very, very comfortable and confident with what they have going at the offensive line. Running back is kind of but running back is not going to dictate the difference between a 7-win team and a 12-win team. That's not going to happen. Saquon Barkley was awesome last year for Philadelphia. They had the best offensive line and two really good wide receivers on the outside. That's why he was as good as he was. Derrick Henry was awesome for Baltimore last year. They had Lamar Jackson as a run threat. That was supposed to be what Brian Robinson was. Maybe not to that number in terms of rush yards and production, but he was supposed to be very similar, and he was not. So the running back position is weak on the offense unless the 7th-round pick, Ja'Cory Crooksy Merritt, becomes a superstar. It's possible. We've seen that happen deep in the draft before. Not plausible, though. So the running back position is weak. The front four is weak. But I would still take Washington's roster and put it above Denver. And I would borderline put them above Green Bay. Minnesota, even though I don't like J.J. McCarthy, you could make an argument for because defensively they're about as strong as they come. Green Bay, I really don't think is. I don't think Green Bay is monumentally better at any position than Washington is. Not a single one. In fact, I would argue that if you do a position-by-position breakdown, Washington would have the edge in nearly every single one. So them being ahead of the Commanders does not make a whole lot of sense to me. The other list that I have is a Pro Football Focus list, which did the same thing. They ranked Washington at 11 in the NFL. They ranked them as the 11th best roster behind more of the same. The only difference was the Texans were on this list and the Rams were on this list as well. So the 49ers did not make Pro Football Focus's top 10. And who was the other one that dropped? There was another team that dropped. The Packers, I don't think, were on the top 10 either. So the Packers and the 49ers were not in there, but the Texans and the Rams made Pro Football Focus's top 10. Washington made 11. Washington was above Green Bay, obviously, if Green Bay was not in the top 10 and Washington was 11. So they were above Green Bay. They were above San Francisco. San Francisco is going to be polarizing, I think, when you look at their roster build because people still have this affinity for Kyle Shanahan, but everyone is seemingly on the fence about Brock Purdy.